Yo, what it do, man? Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your Thanksgiving night, as it is in the States right now, to come over and listen to some boxing talk, as always. So, hopefully, you guys have had your turkey nice and full, and, most importantly, spend some time with the family. As you guys have probably noticed, I haven't been online very much, man. There's a lot of things going on, man. Very, very busy, doing a lot of different things. Um, and I find myself kind of disappointed with boxing sometimes, man. And a lot of content creators out here after the Bud Crawford and Porter fight. The amount of stuff that I saw, man, is just kind of like, all right, I gotta step back. I know how to pace myself on this boxing shit, man, sometimes. But there is some positivity. We got another fight coming up this weekend, of course, with Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. We got Devin Haney fighting JoJo. I believe they're fighting the week after that. So we got 2 weeks back to back with some good fights, which I'll be talking about here. This is officially Firestorm Thanksgiving edition. I know a lot of people are with their families. I don't expect a big crowd of people tonight because obviously it's Thanksgiving. People are chilling. People are full. People are putting their feet up on the couch, digesting all of that Thanksgiving food, man. So I get that. But when I have a moment, I try to come in and knock it out. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the welterweight division and how it's going to unfold. Like I said, I needed some time to kind of relax and soak in the Bud Crawford and Sean Porter results. People are finally starting to calm down a little bit, especially those people that were going for Porter. I've seen a lot of talk out there about the stoppage, and there's a lot of crazy shit, man. So I do want to give my thoughts about, obviously, the fight that we all want to see, which is Bud and Spence. Is it going to happen? If it does happen, who wins that fight? Will we get an undisputed? All those questions come into play. So I want to talk about all those things. Shout out to my man Omega Red, first one in the building tonight. I appreciate you. Chavo TV, Yave, of course, Yave, and my man Stormy B Man, both official members of the channel. I got to give you guys a special shout out for that. That's me. What's up? Thanks for dropping by. Master Storm, salute to you, sir. Moped, happy Thanksgiving to you. Hope you guys, like I said, have got your turkey, got your food. Hopefully you guys got some home cooking. That's what it's all about for Thanksgiving, man. Get that home cooking. All right. None of the fast food shit. None of the let me go by Costco and get some stuff and just throw it in the microwave. Like some real home cooking, man. Hope you guys all were able to have that. And of course, most importantly, with the family, man. You know, sometimes with our busy lifestyles and running around, working, taking care of the kids, got to pay the bills, got to go on my YouTube, get my boxing fix, whatever it may be, man. Go to the gym, get my workout in. Sometimes we miss out on family life. You know what I mean? And just taking a moment to be thankful, man. That's what Thanksgiving is to me personally. I don't get into the whole cultural side of things and the historical part of things. For me, it's a moment to kind of take a deep breath, be thankful for the people that are still here. A lot of people, man, out there, real talk, they don't got a lot of their family left. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't have that ability to, spend time with their grandparents if they're still around, spend time with their parents if they're still around. And if for any of y'all have kids that are grown up, like I know my man Stormy B, man, he's got kids out there that are grown and doing their thing, and it's hard to tie them down. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's been a great week. I've spent time with my 8 soon to not to be 9-year-old daughter, man, and we had a very good, father and daughter time. It's so important. It's so important, man, especially in this day and age. We get so distracted with so many different things. So that's what Thanksgiving is to me. Put everything on pause and be thankful. And be thankful for what you got. So, go ahead and hit this top. Stormy B, man, coming in here saying them folks mad because Porter lost. Hoping Bud would to support their hate for the man. Shake my damn head. If the fight takes place, Earl suffers the same fate in less rounds. You heard me say it first. My man Stormy B, man, he's got a lot of faith in Bud Crawford. Now, I do want to give a special shout out to Stormy B, man. If you guys didn't know, Stormy B, man, called it to the T. You couldn't call it any better than what Stormy B, man, called the Bud and Porter fight on my channel. And I'm sure he did it on his channel and probably on other panels as well. It came on my channel, I believe, the last Firestorm that we had, as a matter of fact. Volume 8. I think it's Volume 9 now we're doing. But he came on my channel and he said, yo, not only is Bud going to stop him, but Kenny Porter's going to throw in the towel. And I looked right here on this camera and I said, man, you must be outside your fucking mind, Stormy B. Kenny Porter throwing in the towel. Come on, man. I mean, I can see maybe a late stoppage, but Kenny's going to do that to his son? Like that? Stormy said, yep. It's going to happen, Devon, I'm telling you. I said, man, this guy, he had way too many coffees or something. But lo and behold, man, the sensei and his wisdom shines through once again. And what happened? Kenny Porter threw in the damn towel. Now, since we're on the topic, I was actually going to start this live stream about Lopez and Kambosos, but we can put that on hold now. We put that on ice for a moment. Now that we're on here talking about this, let me give my thoughts, because I haven't really gave my real post-fight thoughts about this. I went live about it during the fight, and I let you guys know, obviously I got my prediction right. I had Bud winning this fight. But I haven't really been on here since then. So I'm going to go ahead and chop it up with you guys. And I appreciate everyone stopping by, making sure as well that you guys are hitting that like button. As always, slip to your right, jab that like button, double jab it. 3-piece combo that like button. And if you're new to the channel, I appreciate you. Subscribe to stay a part of the conversation. Now, Rojai, what's good? Volts UK, good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping by. Now, let me give my thoughts about this aftermath. That's what I was going to actually title the video. I was the aftermath of Porter Crawford. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this fight for the past week. Some people can't let it go. I ain't going to name names. You guys know who they are. The ones who picked Porter especially. Now, slowly people started to say, well, I'm not mad at Bud. I feel like Bud got robbed. Bud got robbed a real victory. Okay, but you were still going for Porter, though. But let me address it. Because, like I said, for me, right after the fight, I went on to a few other channels. Some of you guys may have seen me on some other panels. But I went around to some other channels to just say, yo, like, it's a good night for boxing. I don't know what you guys saw, but I saw a hell of a fight. I saw a hell of a fight, a very entertaining fight. Stylistically, that fight was already destined to be a great fight. And it was up into the stoppage. Now, the scorecards, some people had Porter up, some people had Crawford up, some people had a draw. I don't have my damn notepad with me, but I believe I had it 6-4 for Crawford leading up to the stoppage. I believe. Anybody having it 5-5, no problem with that. And even if you had it 6-4 Porter, I don't really have a problem with that either. There's some people out there that said Bud only won like 2 rounds. I'm like, come on, man. And I'm the guy that came out here and said, I think Crawford's going to win by decision. I didn't think he was going to do Porter like that. I didn't even think there was going to be a knockdown. I thought it was going to be a 12-round dogfight, similar to what we saw with Porter and Spence. That's what I thought. But you know what, man? Bud, specific volume in the building. Good world in the building. You know what, man? Bud impressed me, man. Bud impressed me. He proved that he can deal with the true welterweight, right? And so I went to a lot of these channels and I said, look, man, I feel like it was a great fight. We have to be thankful as boxing fans, at least we got a good welterweight fight. A lot of people wanted Bud Crawford to step up, right? That's what a lot of people wanted. And they got it. Now, unfortunately, people are upset about the stoppage. Let me address that real quick, because I think that's really what the main issue is, okay? People out there beating around the bush about, Crawford wasn't winning the fight and he got lucky. I heard that. I ain't going to even address that bullshit. You don't get lucky when you knock a guy down twice. You don't get lucky. And I've heard people talk about, it was fixed. I ain't even talking about that either. Because these people who come out here and claim to be ardent boxing fans, love the sport of boxing, but you continue to stand up on the hilltop shouting corruption, fixed, and all this other craziness. And it's like, okay, when I have true and undeniable evidence, then I'm one of the first ones on the mic to talk about it. Sean Porter got caught. Period, point blank. Was he hurt? No, I think he could have continued. I think if Kenny Porter didn't throw in the towel, he could have continued. I do agree with that. Do I agree with Kenny Porter coming to the ring apron to stop the fight? No, not really. To be 100% honest with you, I'm not. Championship fight, 10th round, close fight for most people. I see my man in here, Rojai. He said he's got Porter up 8-1. But for me, it was a close fight. Most people that I talked to had it a close fight. The championship rounds, he's not really hurt. He wasn't dropped back on his back. He wasn't. It didn't take him, 6 seconds to roll off the canvas and try to stand up and had wobbly legs. Kenny Porter stopped the fight. The ref didn't stop it. Porter didn't get knocked out. Let's make that abundantly clear. So then the question is, DJ Zion, love, what's good, man? Good to see you out here. So then the question is, all right, why did Kenny stop it? And should we be upset about that? I think that's what the question should be. It shouldn't be, it was fixed. I mean, it wasn't fixed on behalf of, in regards to Porter. I don't think Porter was like, hey, man, I'm going to let you in the 10th round hit me with the shot. I'm going to go down. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you this victory. You've earned it. Come on, man. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. And I've heard channels out here talking about that craziness, and I ain't doing it. There ain't no damn way Porter is going to do some dumb shit like that. Ain't no way. I don't care what nobody says. And not to mention the fact, it looked like to me that Porter was trying up until the stoppage. He was trying. He was trying to hurt Crawford. He was being Sean Porter. He had easily 4 to 6 very good rounds, depending on how you scored it. So you're trying really hard, and then you whisper in his ear and say, bro, I'll go down here, this is what we discussed, right? A 10th round? Okay. Nah. Now, Kenny, on the other hand, I don't know what's up with that dude, man. I don't know what's up with that dude. And I will tell you this. I was cringing very hard when I was listening to Kenny Porter give his post-fight thoughts. Cringing very hard. Man, what's this dude talking about? Why are you doing your son like that, man? And you know why I cringed? Because it reminded me of my own father. My own dad used to do that shit, man. My dad was always the loudest one at every game. Growing up, I played everything except for baseball. I do no baseball, man. But basketball, football, soccer, track and field, I played everything pretty much. My dad was always the loudest one, yelling at the refs, yelling at the coaches, yelling at other parents, yelling at me. And to me, it made me I was just like, I can't listen to this shit, man. And you know what? I got a lot of respect for Sean Porter because I know his dad has always been a hard ass. His whole entire life, he's been a hard ass. In his grill, probably his whole damn life. I respect the fact that Kenny's trying to be a good father. He's in Sean's life, not a lot of boys growing into young men have fathers in their lives. So I give credit where credit's due in that regard. However, you know that Kenny's been in Sean Porter's grill his whole life. So I give Sean Porter credit to having to deal with that shit because my dad was so bad that by the time I graduated high school, I could have went to uni to play sports or I could have joined the military. And I chose the military because I got so burnt out. And as a matter of fact, by the time I finished the military and revisited sports, and I ended up playing semi-professional soccer, I did it on my own. And I was just a much better person when I was on my own. And even then, I was overseas, and my dad is still trying to coach me on fucking Facebook and calling me and but at least I didn't have to deal with him in person. And I went on and played 5 or 6 years, made some good money, and went on with my life and went into coaching, and now I have my own gyms and et cetera, et cetera. But when I heard Kenny say the things that he said about his son, it reminded me of my dad. It's embarrassing. You know, the worst thing is when they do it in front of people. Troll Killer in the building. Alex Santos in the building. Good to see you. And, you know, one of the worst things, Devin, what's up, that I hate about my dad the most. You know, when you're a kid, dad to you is like Superman, basically. Dads can do anything. Dads can say anything. And even though he was irate, and my mom will be over there, you know, in the corner, kind of just like, oh my God, here he goes again. She was petrified of my dad. Every time my dad, like, hey, just, you know, give him a break. My dad would be like, man, shut up, he don't need no break. He needs to step it up. That was my dad. But I can deal with that. But the one thing that embarrassed me the most is when my dad would do that shit in front of people, right? Other parents, especially. And everybody's listening, everybody's looking, and I'm just standing there, like, you know. And my dad got thrown out of games before, like literally. They had to like escort. My dad was just, I don't know, man. I don't know what his thing was. Especially when I played football. He was crazy when I played football, more than any other sport. And when I listened to Kenny Porter, it just made me cringe so badly. And this is on a different scale because you're on like national TV, basically, like pay-per-view, but basically you got hundreds of thousands of people watching. You got people in the crowd, and you're a professional athlete. You're an elite athlete, world-class athlete. And your dad is out there basically dogging you like that. He ain't training. He didn't listen to me and da-da-da. Now, a lot of people saying, yo, but Divine, you know, maybe he was speaking facts, though. Maybe Sean was in training. Maybe he was worried about his podcast and his broadcasting, whatever it is. Yeah, Stormy, I got you, man. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the chat right now. I mean, it's Firestorm, so, you know, that's what I do. There's a link right there for anybody that wants to join. Make sure you guys hit that like button, man. Jab, slip, jab, that like button. Double jab that like button. Let's go. Get the likes all the way up. Let the people know we're in here chopping it up. So for the people that are saying, yo, but Divine, maybe he had a point. But you still don't do your son like that. That's a private conversation. That's in the back of the locker room, changing room, and be like, son, I told you, man. You know, you weren't training, and it is what it is. You don't do that shit on the mic in front of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, that hit home for me personally. And I don't know if y'all had dads like that. And I heard some people say, oh, my mom was like that. And I've seen moms go crazy too. I've seen moms go crazy at games. Dads be chilling, moms going crazy, yelling at their son. But for me, it was my dad. And I don't know, maybe it's a little bit different, father-son kind of thing. You know, my dad would come on the field during practices, when I played football especially, and just start hitting me in the pads like really hard. Just like, hit me. And coaches just like, they don't know what to do. They're just like, damn. Now, oddly enough, when I look back at it, it did make me very tough. It made me very resilient. I had like a certain type of rage when my dad acted like that. But that rage, that fire, that aggression that I had that made me who I am today, granted, and I had success playing sports because of that push and that drive. But like all fires do, eventually they burn out. You understand me? They burn out. And to me, I saw a fire be burnt out, put out. And I'm talking about Sean Porter. I saw a fire be put out after he took that L and after what his dad was saying about him. And I felt what Sean Porter felt at that moment. You got Stormy B-Man in the building. How goes it, sir?
Hey, salute to you, bro. What's good with you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. To you too as well, man. I got this pecan pie over here that I'm about to get up. Once I get off live, my daughter's like coming in here, creeping through the door. Daddy, when are we gonna have this pie? I got another a gentleman or I don't know who or somebody back here named Kangaroo Jack. Just let me see your cam first, so I know you're not a troll trying to pop in here, cause some havoc. Just open your cam real quick, and we'll get you in here. All right, cool. Yes, sir. Yeah, Stormy. So you were listening in. What's your thoughts about what I was saying in regards to Kenny and what he said about Sean? And of course, as I just told everybody, you predicted this. And then in regards to my personal feelings to it, because I saw a good fight. I wasn't really. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed at the stoppage. I'm like, okay. I thought Sean was okay. Do I think if he got up, it would have went the same way? Probably. But I'm going to hold the same sentiment that I had about Caleb Plant as well. I thought Caleb Plant deserved to get have a chance to get up. And I'm like that for all fighters, just like I was for Deontay Wilder. When he was stopped in the second fight. That's just me. A lot of people don't agree with that. A lot of people say, oh, man, he was hurt, call the fight. But even I was a little bit disappointed about the stoppage. And although I think that if the fight would have continued, Crawford was getting his groove. He was getting his rhythm. He started to piece up Porter more and more. And I think it was inevitable. But like I said, the comments afterwards really put a sour taste in my mouth from Kenny. And what's your thoughts on that, Stormy? And then I'll swing it around the panel.
First of all, thanks for having me on. As I wrote in the chat, usually I do a Thursday night show, but because it was the holiday, I took the time out to do family stuff, and then I was uploading my files on my new laptop, so wasn't really ready to do a production. But hey, man, I don't take, and I said this also, I don't take a lot of pride in being correct on how I called how things might end up. But what I will say is that's experience and observation for looking at the sport of boxing for what it is. Just like you described how your dad was with you when you were participating in sports, people have left out the whole notion and philosophy of that when it comes to Kenny and Sean. Kenny has always presided over Sean's career from amateur on through the pros. And when Sean told him that he wanted to be a professional boxer, they spoke about that on that Blood, Sweat, and Tears documentary, leading up to the fight. Kenny is a take charge guy. He would rather things fall on him than to fall on Sean because he loves his son. And he's a real father of a son. You know what I'm saying? And that whole thing. But I do think sticking the mic in front of his face at that hot moment when he had to stop the fight, and I say he had to stop the fight because of his approach to who Porter was in there with. It wasn't about, whether he could go. When they announced this fight and he has stated, I might have to bring in some other boxing minds to help us put together a final game plan for this situation, because that's the type of respect and acknowledgement of who Bud Crawford is that Kenny had. And I'm going to tell you something. Even now, people still don't want to give Bud Crawford the credit that he deserves, being the fighter that he is. This is not to put anyone else down, but this is something that you haven't seen since the previous generation. When you talk about a particular talent at the top of his division, you could take Bud and drop him back in Floyd's era and go back yet and still in De La Hoya and that era with he and Trinidad. Then you could go back even further into the Pernell Whitaker era, on back to when Whitaker and Chavez were doing their things as young men vying for championships. That's how good Bud Crawford is. There's not a lot of guys in the sport today that you can just take them and place them back in these other eras because of the talents that they have. Then when you talk about the mindset that he has, the fervor for wanting to be competitive in the sport, and then still being able to make adjustments during a fight. The one thing about a fighter like Bud Crawford is the fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. And just because you win the first 5 or 6 or so, don't mean the fight is over if you haven't gotten him out of there. Because the man can download enough data to make adjustments as the fight goes on. And remember, people get tired. So when fatigue begins to set in, the things you were doing well initially, you may not be able to sustain it for all 12 rounds. You might need to take a round off to get yourself together. You may, to coast around, even if it means giving up the round, but it's like to get yourself to come back a round or two later. Well, that's all a person like Bud Crawford needs. Kenny knows these things. And lastly, the fact that he's one of the best, if not the best, finisher in the sport today.
Yeah.
So once Sean's butt hit the canvas, it's a different fight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what Sean has done in the past. What matters is Sean wasn't in the ring with a guy like this,
Bud
in the
Crawford.
past.
Yep.
Let me give an example. And I don't want people to think that, because I know people like to twist your words, but Earl Spence is a different type of fighter. Remember when he fought Mikey Garcia? He let Mikey Garcia go the distance with him. And I say he let him because he could have stopped Mikey, but he didn't. That right there is the difference between he and Bud Crawford. Bud would never let Mikey Garcia go the distance with him. He's got too much venom in him for that. And when it came down to he and Sean, I ultimately believe that a lot of the earlier rounds, he was having a hard time fighting his friend. He was, because Bud gets himself geared up to smash the other guy, the opponent. That's why he didn't want to fight Sean. Not because he was afraid of Sean or he thought Sean would be too tough. He genuinely likes the guy. You see, he was on his podcast like 24 or 48 hours later. He was on Sean's show. They're good friends. When they were amateurs, nobody would talk to Bud and embrace him or nothing. Sean was the only person to go around and talk to him, built a friendship with the guy.
Yeah,
and understand, dude, this is not basketball, where like Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas kissing each other on the cheek before the game, and then you go out, you got a team full of guys around you. So it's not personal one-on-one. It's a team against a team. But in boxing, it's you or me. And Bud had a hard time with that. Did you see after the fight was stopped, he went over and he embraced Sean right away and said whatever he said. I don't care what he said to him because I already understand the depths of what was transpiring here. If there was any other welterweight, Bud would have been out there engaging and trying to stop the guy. What round did he stop Kell Brook in?
Probably the 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
6, 7.
Think about it like this, and I know we got other guys, and welcome to guys, and I'll finish this up quick. With Porter, it wasn't until they told him he's behind. And Bud was like, what? He's like, I got to go get him? He's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get him. 10th round comes, he gets right off the stool, goes over there, walks Sean down, something he hadn't done in the entire fight. Walks him down, starts throwing those shots. He was landing accurately in the round before, but now he's doing it with purpose to take him down. And he did just that. There's not a lot of guys who can flip that switch like that, bro. And Bud can do that, and he did do that. That's what Kenny saw. That's what Kenny was afraid of that might happen earlier. And when he recognized the moment, he stopped the fight because he's like, I don't want my son to end up like some of these other guys, a highlight reel knockout and everything, when I can intervene and concede and say, you know what, this kid is the truth. Let me, stop it right here.
Well,
so that's what I wanted to say, bro.
Duty of care, I'd say.
Yeah, I just want to.
Hey guys, is my mic all good? Sorry.
Yep, I can hear you, bro. I just want to add to that real quick, and then I'll swing it around. People kind of forgot, I think, in my opinion, or they didn't realize, or they didn't take note of. They looked at Bud as like, yeah, he's pretty good. Maybe maybe he can do something great, but now he's going up against a real tough opponent in Porter, who's established, who has a resume. He's fought everybody. That's what everybody was building their case on, and which makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. But people forgot the very basic dynamics, which is Bud, if you guys didn't know, has a 74-inch reach. That's like a reach of a middleweight, a super middleweight. And, of course, if you guys didn't notice, in the first round, he came out orthodox, right? He saw it wasn't working well for him, and he switched southpaw for the rest of the fight. But once he found his range in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, of course, into the lead up to the stoppage, that's when Porter started having problems. Because then Crawford was like, yeah, now I can touch him. Now I know how to use this reach advantage. And people forgot about those like little basic the tail of the tape. Porter was at a huge disadvantage when it came to reach, hand speed, in my opinion, and just boxing skill, also in my opinion. Porter had to come in there and rough him up, and he did well in the beginning part of the fight. It made it interesting. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Now, DJ Zion Love, I know you first came in here because I was talking about my dad and how he used to be. It reminded me of what Kenny was saying and all that. I don't know if you wanted to leave thoughts about that or whatever.
First of all,
go
happy
ahead.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, peace and blessings, Stormman and you, Divine. Yeah, when I was watching the episode with him, Kenny Porter lost his brother. He explained that he lost his brother. I think he was 4 years old. He was 3 years old. They were looking for their mother, and she was in a gambling house. And I think they crossed the street, and the little brother got hit by a car. And today he still blames himself of letting the little brother die, but it wasn't his fault. But he has a son, Porter. So Porter, so Sean, his son, is like a little brother to him. So he has a brother and a son in one, and he don't want nothing to happen to Sean Porter during that fight. So he was very protective mode since he lost his younger brother. So you understand Sean Porter is his son, but it's also his little brother. Cause I guess he had him when he was younger. Cause they're probably 20 years apart, probably 15 years apart, 20 years apart. So you have to understand that psychological thing that he has with Sean Porter. It's not only his son, but it's also his little brother. So that's why he stopped that fight. And I believe, based on my opinion, I think Bud carried Sean Porter in the late rounds. He carried him. He could have finished him off if he wanted to because of the friendship. So he carried him until he realized that he was about to get robbed, set up. So I think he carried him to the later rounds.
A lot of people are going to be upset that you said that.
Very
unfair. Very unfair.
Unfair. You don't understand. They're good friends. Remember, this is a professional fight. You can end up killing that man. You have to understand. This ain't no backyard boxing thing. These guys are professional. They have a background together. So at the end of the day, if you really, why think you start out unorthodox? They didn't even start right away. That's my opinion and what I see. Like I said, this fight was not a normal fight. There's a lot of things involved. You have Kenny Porter, who's looking at Sean Porter like his little brother, that he that he lost at a childhood, and that's his son at the same time. You have Bud Crawford and him, they're friends. So it's a lot of, and I believe Bud want that man to save face up until the 10th round, until he realized that he was going to get robbed. And remember, this fight was bigger than Bud and bigger than bigger than Crawford. Remember, whenever he was leaving Top Rank, you know what happened to Manny when he left Top Rank when he fought that guy in Horn. See what happened to him? He got robbed. So that was the same thing about to happen. Luckily, whoever told him that he was down really saved him. So that's why I was saying he was carrying Sean Porter as a friend to the ring. He don't want to hurt this guy or cause damage, man. So you have to understand. That's my opinion, you know.
I appreciate you giving your opinion. Kangaroo Jack, what do you got?
How are you, fellas? Good. Cheers for having me in.
Yes, sir.
Good educating chats here. First things first, I would say credit to Sean Porter. I mean, what he has achieved in his life as a boxer over the years. You know, he's been in there with some really good names, like top elite level names. I'll also add to this. This was, in my opinion, Crawford's best opponent of his career. Going by the names Porter has fought over the years. And it's good that Crawford's trying to change his promotion deal so he gets better fights. I'll also say that Crawford is a very composed individual in the ring. Very composed individual. He understands the time where he needs to push the fight and the time where he needs to step back and relax. You saw the shift. You saw the shift late in the round, late in the fight. Porter decided to really, put his foot on the gas and pressure, come forward and get him out of there. So that just shows the levels of class between the two individuals that were in there. Was it a premature stoppage? I would say no, because it's about the care of the fighter, caring for the fighter, and I think people are missing that this day and age. A lot of trainers are starting to really care for their fighters, and care about their well-being, their mental health. Because I tell you what, if Crawford did a lot more damage and really made a highlight reel out of the situation, people would have been thinking we should have pulled out Porter earlier. You see what I'm saying? So it's about the care of the fighter, and I thought, we'll just, credit to both of them. It was a good fight for the early rounds, but yeah, Crawford on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, just curious, Stormy, how were your scorecards looking up until the point of the stoppage? Stormy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I just turned the camera off to stop some of the lag.
What were your
my
scorecards?
I had Porter ahead by a round or two at the time of the stoppage, and I think that's a fair assessment because I was yelling at my screen for Bud to get busy to throw his hands, by around round 5 or so. I was like, dude, what you waiting on? And then as I'm looking at the fight, he's in there, he's smiling at Sean and stuff like that because he already proved the one thing that Sean was banking on to be ineffective, and that was Sean imposing his strength on him. And he totally turned that around in Sean's face. And once he did that, Sean didn't have a plan B off of that because a lot of what he does is on his aggression and strength. But Bud is a lot stronger than people think. And I've said this for years.
Yeah. He surprised me. He surprised me with his strength, man, to be honest with you. I thought that Porter was going to have the advantage in the clinch. And he got that
skinny dude strength, yo.
Exactly. And it's not about his wrestling background. That's not necessarily here. It's about his inner strength. Remember, this young man, and I hate to bring up certain things to dramatize it, but it's kind of real. Remember, this man got shot in the head and drove himself to the hospital.
Damn.
Even though the bullet, fortunately for him, the bullet grazed. you know,
Oh,
and
okay,
didn't go
lucky.
in. But he was grazed, but he drove himself to the hospital.
Yeah, he's determined, man. And his mother's kind of tough on him too. I think
Yeah.
his mother was kind of rough on him, man. His mother was psychologically rough on him.
Kinda, dude. She was paying boys in the neighborhood and men in the neighborhood to beat his ass.
Damn, what kind of mother is
Yeah.
that? Jeez.
Yeah,
You know,
so
one thing
this
about
is a different type of individual we're talking about here.
Yeah,
And in
I
some
think you
cases, for certain individuals, doing those kind of things can kind of break the spirit of a young man.
Yeah,
But it didn't break his spirit. It made him stronger. Remember, he was 16
he has
years
some
old
therapy.
and invited Kenny Porter into an alley for a fist fight.
Because he was so used to it from he was younger. I think he got some therapy. I think he got some therapy behind that. He needs that. His mother, man. Once he said that about his mother,
he's one of probably two fighters in the world, Crawford, that has the boxing ring IQ and ability to change the situation during the fight when he knows it's not going his way. You know,
yeah, but that's a weakness too, because he may go and fight the wrong fighter and take a long time to download and get knocked out quick. He has to be careful. He's gonna wait 5 rounds to get download. He better be careful. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna work, but he got to stop that. That's a habit.
Well, that's true, but sometimes
the way you're talking about it, DJ, that it's not that. He is smart enough and cunning enough to make you show him what you're doing. Show him
like
what
a chess
you got.
game. So it's a mental game, chess game going.
Similar,
Exactly.
very similar to very similar.
As much bravado as he has, he's not using it in that manner. He's using it as a sleuth in there.
All right,
I can't wait for that.
He can figure you out, then he goes for the kill. He's like a guy that, you know, sucker punch. It's like he'll pretend like he can't pop, right? And then all of a sudden he hit you with something and you're on Queer Street, and then he go to take you out. That's his philosophy.
Yeah, but that's good. But what if one day that's still a gamble? He may mess around.
Boxing. It's actually boxing. But remember, if there's someone in there with a more legitimate threat, he raises his level.
Okay, that's why I want to see Spence on him, man.
When you say that it's risky,
and I'll just say this, and I'll let everybody else talk. That's the fight you definitely want to see, because that's the man he really wants to beat, because no one gives him credit for anything else. That is a dangerous fight for Earl Spence. Not because Earl is not good.
He's gonna knock him out. I'm betting $500 that Bud's gonna stop him between the same between 9th round. I'm betting money on that.
Very similar to when you say that it's risky.
I don't think Spence makes it to 10 against Bud Crawford.
I know he probably is 6th round or something. You're gonna get fucked up really bad, man. I don't see him beating. I don't see him beating that guy, man.
Dude, it's going to be just like when Evander Holyfield beat Mike Tyson. After all those years that people were saying Holyfield's pretty good, but he ain't Tyson. He can't whoop Tyson, this and that. Man, he went in there and took everything away from Tyson. Just totally stripped him.
But Tyson was on medication and he called him a rapist. So he was playing mind games before the fight. So he beat Tyson before the fight. He called him a rapist. Tyson was on medication.
Holyfield never called Tyson a rapist, man. What are you talking about?
Holyfield he did.
No, he did not.
I never heard that.
He did not.
Maybe Lennox Lewis did.
No, I think he meant
people never Holyfield. Holyfield always wanted to compete against him because people said that they thought he couldn't beat him.
Okay, but
even after losing fights to Michael Moore and Riddick Bowe, he still has something that he saved in reserve, and he looked worse in his last fight before Tyson against Bobby Ches. He looked like he was old and through. But when he came out there against Mike Tyson, he fought one of the performances of his career.
Yeah,
just to throw back on what you lads were saying just then, just to throw back on what you were just saying before, when you say that it's risky to take 4 or 5 rounds to get going, one of you said it. I don't know who said it, but I actually 100% disagree.
Okay.
Because the best at doing that, working out an opponent and playing mind games is Tyson Fury, and he doesn't fail at it.
That guy's a cheater.
He has the He has the ability to completely mess with your mind for 4 or 5 rounds and then take control of it after the 6th.
He does the gypsy voodoo. You know what I'm saying? So he don't need to do that. He really gonna work a Wilder. He does gypsy voodoo, okay?
I understand, Kangaroo, what you're saying on that regard, in regards to Fury. However, he didn't do that in the 3rd fight. He took the first maybe 2 rounds off, but after that, he was coming after Wilder, trying to hurt Wilder. He dropped Wilder, I believe, in the 3rd round.
You know why? You really know why? Because he literally did no training for that 3rd fight. 0. His daughter was about to die.
He got gypsy voodoo, man. You crazy?
His daughter was in hospital. His daughter was in hospital for the first 4 or 5 weeks of her life, fighting for her life. He was in the UK 2 or 3 times, leaving the US.
Wait, you're saying that he attacked Wilder because he wasn't in shape?
I personally think he packed on the weight probably on purpose, but I don't think he was in any sort of fighting condition to fight the likes of Usyk or Anthony Joshua.
Please don't let go down to that Wilder.
I would say he's in pretty damn good shape, considering the fact that he got dropped twice and was still able to get off the canvas. That takes being in shape.
No, that was a referee. Well, that was a referee.
No, but hold on. That's a different topic. You're talking about a long.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm saying that he still got up, and you still have to be in good shape. People just think, oh, you need a chin. You got to be in good shape when you get knocked down like that, especially as a heavyweight, to get your big 270-pound ass off the canvas.
Yeah, that's in shape, definitely.
So I just don't buy. Like, here's the thing. It's like, Fury fans say, "Oh, he wasn't really in shape." That just shows how much better than he was. And I don't want to switch this fucking conversation.
Yeah, we don't want to say.
But what I'm saying is, a lot of people say Fury, he's so much better because he didn't come into shape. Okay, well, when Wilder fans say Wilder came in too big and heavy and it slowed him down and he got exhausted, then Fury fans say, "Oh, don't make excuses." But that's what Fury fans do when they say, "Oh, Fury didn't come into shape."
No, I'm not making any excuses, but personally, Fury is a natural heavy guy, so potentially he was already in shape, and he might be playing the mind games that he likes to do. But again, if you say Wilder came in there heavier, I wouldn't even say don't make excuses. I'd just personally say Tyson Fury's a 10 times better boxer, and he has him every day of the week. So Wilder will never beat Tyson Fury ever.
Okay, man. Can we change this thing, man? Because this fight is over.
Yeah. No, it's fine. That's fine. Look, that's fine. I mean, this topic has been beat down into the ground so much. But
the Usyk Fury topic hasn't.
No, well, okay. I mean, but Fury and Usyk is a whole another bag of potatoes, and we'll cross that bridge if we ever get to it. But I want to stay at the topic at hand because this topic can get twisted sideways very, very quickly. And I'm not even like, obviously I'm a Wilder fan. I've never said that I wasn't a Wilder fan. And I would say that he lost the 3rd fight. It is what it is, and we move on. But it just seems a bit odd to me that, and I'm not saying that Kangaroo, you're a Fury like fanatic or anything like that. But I'm saying that it's always odd that I haven't spoken about Wilder in probably 3 weeks. But somehow people come over here, want to rub it in my face that Fury won the fight. It's just like, okay. And I'm not saying you're trying to do that, but for me, it's just odd that Fury continues to be put in the conversation.
I've never been on your channel. I haven't heard seen any of your videos. I don't know what you guys talk about, but we were on the topic of ring IQ and the ability to change up styles and Fury's
right. And I don't dispute, and for the record, I don't dispute that Fury has a high boxing IQ. The guy has been
but we're talking about downloading, like what Crawford does. We're talking about spending time to download somebody and wasting around. It's risky. That was the main thing I was talking about. Downloading, figure out your opponent, and you wasting time. But at the end of the day, that's good. But I would like to see him do it again. That's
DJ. Let's talk about something that everybody wants to really hear about, and let's talk about Spence Crawford. Okay,
Yes,
That's what this is what this is really about. Because now Crawford has done something that a lot of people thought that he couldn't do. Let's be
That
honest
fight
here.
won't be made. That fight will never be made.
Let's be honest here. A lot of people were
Yeah,
saying that Porter's too strong, too tough, too distinguished, too many accolades at 147. Crawford has moved up into the weight. I don't care if he's longer, taller, better. Porter is just too good and too well established at the weight class. That's what a lot of people were saying. So
I'm impressed, man.
regardless of the stoppage, you agreed, disagreed, we can sit here all day long and disagree about it or agree about it. The fact of the matter is that if you're going to sit here and say, well, Divine, like if Kenny didn't stop the fight, Porter could have switched gears and then knocked
you'd
down
have got
Bud.
knocked out. You'd have been ugly.
It's like, come on. Porter was getting eased up badly. And it's not like he was like getting rocked and was wobbling around the ring or nothing like that. But when you're taking clean shots and you're getting hit with these flash knockdowns, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And to Stormy B's point, eventually, if you continue to get hit with these shots that you can't defend yourself from, and you're starting to fatigue as well, which Porter was starting to fatigue, right? Then you're going to end up flat on your face.
Yeah.
Hey, Divine.
So it is what it is. So we have to give Crawford his respect. You have
100%.
to.
I think Kenny Porter messed it up, man. Kenny Porter should never stop that fight. It's kind of like he wanted everything to shine on him. You should have just let him fall on his shield. But like I said, it's back to him losing his brother at a young age. It came back to him at that moment. So I think that's why he made the decision.
Well, the thing is, 100%. Like, look, it was an entertaining fight. I mean, Stormy B, man, the guy who predicted Kenny to stop the fight had Porter winning the fight. So it's not like people are biased towards Crawford. I see people in the chat and on other platforms getting so upset at the quote-unquote Crawford nut huggers and whatever have you. This is boxing. Porter was winning the fight on a lot of people's scorecards, including Bud Crawford fans / people who were predicting Bud to win the fight. But it doesn't change the fact that Crawford started to figure out Porter. In the sport of boxing, when a fighter gets the edge and they start figuring out their opponent, it becomes a dangerous situation. And if you want to refer back to Kangaroo and he was saying about Fury, yes, once Fury figured out Wilder, it became dangerous. That's boxing.
Can I add something to that?
They asked Bud when he saw figure him out. You know what Bud said? He said from the first round. That's why he said that in the press conference. He said that from the first round. That's why I believe that he carried him as a friend.
Can I say something, please?
From there. Yeah, go ahead, Stormy B, man. It's all good.
Go ahead, Stormy, and then I want to switch it to this Spence Crawford conversation. But go ahead, you got the last thoughts.
Sean gave an interview with Sky Sports Sunday morning. It's 5 minutes or so, where he talked his thoughts about the fight. He sat there upon reflection and was having a difficult time articulating what happened.
Oh, wow.
Because he said, I always thought that we were like right there, neck and neck, you know, talent, abilities, and whatnot. He's saying that on camera, he was saying, like, I thought we were like right there, right? But he said, Bud was like here. And I was trying to get there and match that, but I couldn't. He said he was doing things in there that nobody's ever done to me before. These are Sean's words, which is why people should shut up, stop listening to external and listen directly to the men. Sean Porter was able to say that Bud was better than him, even though his pride doesn't want to allow him to say that, he said these things. He didn't say that about Earl Spence. Earl Spence fought his fight, and Earl Spence fought with him. Bud wouldn't engage with him the way he was hoping he could get Bud to do. And Kenny mentioned that as well because they knew him to be a hot-headed kid years ago. He's a man with his own children now. What, he got 6 kids? He's raising his family. He's taking care. He's providing for them. This is real for him. So when he's out there, he's utilizing the most important muscle, and that's his mind. He has the intellect of a seasoned fighter. He doesn't. I told you, the one thing that Sean had that in his mind as an advantage was to his aggression and strength. When Bud showed him his strength wasn't going to be a factor within those first 3 rounds, that was it. But what Sean didn't realize, but I observed, was that Bud was having a hard time beating up his friend. That's the one thing you can't account for. Yeah. He had a hard time beating up his friend. But when he had to win the fight, when they told him he might lose on the scorecards, the light switch went off.
Yeah, he said go time. He said go time.
And this isn't a sparring match. You can spar your friend when you say, "Hey, don't hit me hard. I won't hit you hard." This is a fight.
I think Bud would have got robbed. If that would have went to 12 rounds, they'd have robbed him.
I don't know about that.
That was a robbery coming.
Maybe. I mean, but Stormy had him up. A lot of people had Porter up.
Yeah, if there was no knockdown and they go to 12, and remember, it's the last time Bud is leaving. Trust me, that would have been a big time robbery. They want to get Bud, but he turned it up, man. He had no choice. I think Bud has to win by knockout. Any fighter he fight going forward, he has to win by knockout. The judge not going to be on his side. That's my prediction. That's my opinion.
I do want to give a shout out to Big Dog for dropping in that super chat. Also, we got Gregory Carmichael. He says Porter lost his confidence at the end of the fight. I think he slowly started to realize that Crawford is a beast. I mean,
yeah, Crawford is a man.
Lack of better words. Another question that I saw in here that I wanted to address by Rojai, and I saw you, Stormy, talking with Rojai. He said Bud's defense is mediocre. The right hand was magnetically synced with Bud's face that Porter threw. Yeah, I mean, we can have a conversation about Bud's defense. Do I think he has the best defense? No. But his offense is so damn good that sometimes the best offense is your defense. And Bud has never shown to get tired. And you would think that he might get tired in this fight because of all the wrestling they were doing. Rojai Go says, Sean also said Spence hurt him more than Bud did. Did Spence knock down Porter twice? No. Now, I guess to that you can say, oh, it was a flash knockdown, Divine. He wasn't really hurt. He got knocked down twice. That's it. No need for me to go into that. So let's talk about this fight. The fight that has to be made. It shouldn't even be a conversation. It shouldn't even be a question. There shouldn't even be a what if. It should be, yes, it's time. Crawford, Spence. Now I'm going to go ahead and let the record straight and give my thoughts quickly in a nutshell about this potential upcoming fight. I'm saying upcoming because I am speaking it into existence. I'm a Spence fan. I've been a Spence fan for a very long time, back when he had 10 fights as a professional. And if there's one fight that I truly feel that is a big test for Crawford, for me, it wasn't Porter. I predicted Crawford to win this fight. For me, it wasn't Porter. For me, it has always been Spence. Because in my opinion, Spence can match Bud with hand speed. Spence goes to the body, probably the best body puncher at 147, in my opinion. Established. You can throw Ennis in there and some other people that are good body punchers, but I'm saying established in the division, Spence. How do you keep a guy like Bud at bay, right, who has an extremely long reach, that has fast hands, that puts combos together, can switch stances and all these different mechanical advantages that he seems to have, is you go to the body. And you just don't go to the body. You go to the body with intent. Spence also has power. I think he's shown to hurt people. So that makes this fight very compelling and very interesting. Now, Bud is going to give Spence problem because of the already known, right? What we witnessed against Porter, what the abilities that he has, right? But a lot of people also say, well, Divine, man, don't forget about Spence's eye. Is it truly recovered? What if he gets punched in that eye and his vision gets fucked up? All of these are notable things that should be noted. Will it be a factor? Hard to say. It's like it's like saying Kell Brook when he had 2 busted eyes. Will it be a factor when he fought Bud? Oh, I don't know, maybe. And then it turned out that more than likely it was a factor. He was a damaged fighter. Is Spence a damaged fighter? I don't know. Unfortunately,
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
We didn't get to see Spence Pacquiao, and he got the eye surgery, and now we haven't seen Spence fight since the eye injury as well. So it's like, do you really? If you're Spence and you're Spence's promoters, you're thinking to yourself, you haven't had a fight since you had eye surgery. Is it a smart idea, the first fight back from eye surgery, to go against a guy who seems unstoppable, basically? That's the question that people are asking. But here's the thing. I'll finish off with this point. I think the pressure is mounting so much now. I think Spence and his team, they got no choice. Because if they say, oh, I had eye surgery, I'm going to take a tune-up fight, Spence will get massacred on social media and on all platforms and all media, because he's been that guy that says, he's Crawford's ducking him and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And people will paint it as another duck move, period. I mean, I don't see any other way around it. The smart business move would probably be to take a tune-up fight, to be completely honest, and test that eye and shake off any ring rust. But unfortunately, luck is not on Spence's side, because Bud has done what he has done, and now he's knocking on the door. You suffered an eye injury, and luck is just not on your side. So you got to face the music, and I am saying that as a Spence fan. I'm holding my breath, hoping that the eye is not a problem. But I just feel that Spence has... okay, let me say this. Spence, I feel like, could have stopped Porter, in my opinion. But for whatever reason, he didn't fight his fight. He was trying to prove a point and try to go toe-to-toe with Porter and mix it up. And it wasn't his normal self, where he's a bit more reserved, balanced in his boxing stance, rips to the body, sticks that jab in there nice and stiff, and more conservative. He was like coming forward and try to go toe-to-toe with Porter for whatever reason. And so I think that he could have stopped Porter too. He should have, in my opinion. It shouldn't have been as close as it was. Porter fans will come back and say, oh, Devon, quit discrediting Porter. Well, sorry.
But Spence wasn't living that boxer's life. He was drinking. He wasn't living that lifestyle at the time. I think he was full of himself. I think the accident woke him up, But I think with the Crawford fight, he's a damaged man. He got a damaged eye and a car accident. He's never going to be the same boxer. And when you fight against a guy named Crawford, who lives a boxer's life, I don't think he drink in him in a club. Yo, he had an. I would take the fight. I'd rather lose to Crawford than lose to a tune-up. Because if I lose to Crawford, there's gonna be a rematch and the money gonna be there. So I'd rather him lose to Crawford than to go test the eye to somebody else and lose. He's a prize fighter. I wouldn't fight nothing unless for the belt.
And Chavo TV says right here, Divine, I want to see the fight too, but let's be real. It shouldn't be Spence's next fight, or Terrence Spence is coming off a layoff and eye surgery.
Doesn't matter.
I hear what you're saying, but what I'm telling you, Chavo, is I promise you this. If Spence says, hey, I need a tune-up fight,
he's done.
They're calling him a ducker, period.
Yep.
The media is going to rip him to shreds. Do you think that they care? Do you think that boxing media has always cared? Have they ever cared about a boxer and injuries and mishaps? They don't give a shit about boxers.
It's a savage sport. They don't care. But
it's a gladiator sport.
If I was Spence, I'll say, okay, I'd rather lose to somebody like Crawford than lose to a tune-up, because he can lose to a tune-up too. He can possibly get beat by a tune-up. So I'd rather lose to a guy like Crawford, the best, and get a rematch and make more money. Because at the end of the day, the car crash, the eye injury is not psychologically, is not the same based on what I see. And they go back. Crawford's the favorite. He's gonna be an underdog.
Chavo goes on to say, Divine, they won't call him a duck if he fights Virgil Ortiz. They won't call that a tune-up.
Doesn't matter. They need each other, man. They forever link in history. They can't. He's that Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis. You see, Riddick Bowe reject that joint. He's that Riddick Bowe. We don't want to go through that.
But Chavo, but the thing is to be honest with you, Virgil Ortiz is a dangerous fight too.
Yeah, anyway,
I mean, it's not as dangerous as Crawford, I guess, but it's still pretty fucking dangerous. If you're trying to come back and knock out ring rust and test your eye, I don't know if Virgil Ortiz is even. That's the problem with the welterweight division. There's no easy pickings, unfortunately. So you got to go down the list and fight.
And guess what?
Top 20
everybody going for the eye too, because there's nobody eye. Every boxer you fight is going for the eye. So it doesn't matter. He's like a wounded shark in the water. So that's why it makes sense for him to fight Crawford. I'd rather him fight Crawford than lose to Crawford to the best. I don't want to lose to no tune-up. That's worse. Man.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see Virgil Ortiz and Danny Garcia, and the winner of that fights Ennis. Or you can have Ennis and Thurman fight. The winner of that fights Ortiz and or Danny Garcia.
They're not going to fight Ennis. Ennis not getting no play. Danny Garcia going 154, I heard.
The problem is in the welterweight division is there's too much talent. You don't got time to be bullshitting around, hopscotching around when Crawford is at 34 years old.
Exactly.
Danny's probably in his 30s, right? All these Thurman's in his 30s. All these guys, they don't got time, right? The time is now. And what they really need to do, in my opinion, is do something similar to what they did with the Super 6 when they had the middleweight tournament or super middleweight tournament. They should do the same thing because there's just too much talent. You don't got enough time in the year to get all these fighters in the ring before fighters start to saying, I'm past my prime and et cetera, et cetera. The boxing promoters need to come together and make a tournament out of this division. Too much talent.
Promoters got too much ego, man.
And you do a round robin, and you win, you move on. You lose, sorry. That's it. And that's it. And you started off based off the rankings of whatever ranking system you want to use. If it's 1 against 5 and then 2 against 4 or whatever it is, and you have at it. And whoever's the current champ, which I guess would be Spence, he holds the most belts, right? So Spence would fight like 6 or 7 or something like that, which would make sense because of his eye injury.
No,
So he fights 6 or 7. If he wins that, then it's like, okay, yeah. And then 2 will fight 6 and 3 will fight 5 or whatever it is. And you just go at it.
I think they should do that after Spence and Bud fight. So if between Spence and Bud, whoever win, gonna be the last, and then you put back whoever lose between Spence and Bud in the tournament. That's what I think. Just get the big thing out of the way. But these promoters, you know, they keep on holding on. Like I said, Spence's accident was a lesson learned. He didn't have to be here. He could have died. They would have stopped playing around. This life happened. They got the Me Too movement. They got the thing going on. You never know. You could stop this fight. Let's get it over and done. People don't live long, man.
These guys are getting older by the day, and
exactly.
And unfortunately, it's the top guys as well. It's I mean, Ennis is on the way up, and he's knocking at the door. And it's just kind of like you got Thurman, Garcia, Crawford, Spence. They're all in their 30s to mid 30s.
Wow. This is gonna become a senior classic after a while.
Yeah. So it's kind of like now's the time. And now's the time to be making these fights. We should have in 2022 at least 5 to 6 fights of the welterweight division of those names that I just mentioned. Period. There's no other choice. Because you know what's going to happen? They're going to wait too damn long, and then they're going to say, "Oh, well, I lost a fight because it's been a year or two, and I'm not in my prime anymore." And that's why. That's why it needs to happen. And I don't want to give a prediction of the Spence Crawford fight yet, because as you guys know, when I do official predictions, I drop an upload and I do it properly. I don't do it like an open panel discussion. And I'll do that. I'm
telling you right now, I got my prediction right now. I got Crawford stopping that man before 9th round. That's why I don't got time to wait. I can't see Spence beating him, man. I can't see it. Even before the accident, I can't see Spence beating. Bud is too intelligent, man. Bud got to beat himself. Bud got to beat himself to have to play around, download. He has to make a mistake. I think anyone make a mistake in a fight, it's not gonna end in he can't go to the 12th round. You gotta be a stoppage. And I got Bud.
Fair enough. Now, before I switch gears again to the next topic, Stormy, do you got anything to say about a potential or what should be soon Spence Crawford or anything of the welterweight division in closure to this topic?
Yeah, I just want to say it's a shame that these guys didn't get it on a couple of years ago, man, before the whole thing that happened around the world and all of this, because the fights were right there to be made by all of these guys. And I actually blame Keith Thurman for kicking it off the way it went, because all Keith Thurman had to do was fight Earl Spence. And if he was victorious there, just go to the next guy and then the next guy and the next guy. But he made sure to ignore Spence. He made sure to not acknowledge him and everything. And then when Bud came up to the division, he had said that he wanted the guy who was supposed to be the man up there. And at that time, it was Thurman. So it's like Thurman ignored Bud as well. But he welcomed Danny when Danny came up from 140. It's like, when you see these guys moving like this, man, it's a shame. And after his biggest victory, Earl flipped his car. It's like you can't make this stuff up, man. And it's like we need to see the fights when the guys are in their primes. We don't want to see 35, 36, 37-year-old guys. Look at Triple G, who's now 40 out there, still waiting around for an opportunity, hopeful that Canelo will come back his way. And Canelo has every intent of coming back his way. But what Triple G don't realize is why he's put his own career on ice. This was the whole plan all along by Canelo and his camp, because when they get in there with him again, it's to stop him this time, because he's terribly faded. He is no longer the guy that he was when he fought Canelo in their rematch. And this Murata guy might get lucky. And it won't be luck if he wins decisively because how faded Triple G is. The inactivity and the age, Father Time is undefeated. So, in closing, yeah, I would have loved to see these men who were at the top of the sport in the welterweight division fight way before what happened. And maybe, just maybe, what happened with Earl might not have happened if guys were just fighting. It's like, I want this one, I want that one, next man up. But he celebrated his victory over Porter because it was just merely days after defeating Porter that tragic accident happened. And of course, he's still able to walk around, enjoy life, and be with his family and box. But we don't know long term what is the result of that terrible accident that he had. We don't know. He may never, ever, ever be the same guy again. But he was a hell of a fighter before the accident. So I just wanted to see guys in there at their best. And unfortunately, even if the fights happen by the mid next year, you're not seeing these guys at the best. And Keith Thurman has been on the ring ever since he lost to Manny Pacquiao, which is atrocious.
Built-in excuse already. Earl got 2 built-in excuses. He got the car accident and he has the eye surgery. The excuse is built in already. The fight is tainted, based on my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, I appreciate your guys' thoughts. We're going to switch it up to the last topic of the night, Thanksgiving night. If you guys are just tuning in, I appreciate you. Hope you guys had your turkey, your food, nice and full, spent time with the family, which, of course, is the most important part of Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Make sure that you guys got that family time in and reconnected with some of your loved ones. We don't get to see all of our family throughout the year with all of our busy lifestyles. So make sure you guys do that. Now, big fight coming up this weekend, gentlemen. Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Now, I haven't done a prediction video about this fight. It's been so damn busy. And when I do prediction videos, it takes probably 3 days to do. And so I haven't done it. So I guess I'll have to do it on this panel, something that I don't normally like to do, but I'll do it for the sake of the conversation and for those who are here to listen. So I want to first address this question because I've seen you've asked this twice, Chavo. He says, Devon, what do you think about Teo now saying he's not fighting Devin and he wants to move up to 140? Well, I would say that if you guys didn't know, Devin's actually fighting the week after this fight coming up. And I would say that if Devin wins, especially if he wins in grand fashion, which I think he will, in my opinion, and Teo goes up to 140, then to me, that's a duck. Simple as that. And I'm sure there's people out there that disagree, but my man Chavo asked me a question, and there's your answer. But let's go ahead and talk about this fight. Now, I do want to throw this out there when it comes to the betting odds. The funny thing is that Canelo Plant, I predicted Canelo to win, but because of the odds, I betted for Plant. Lost some money. Not very much, but lost money. Then we had Porter Crawford. I predicted Crawford to win the fight, but because of the odds, I put a little bit of money on Porter. And I lost a little bit of money again. So now you got Teofimo and Kambosos, and once again I'm faced with the difficult question. Is it worth the risk of putting money on Kambosos, even though I'm 2-0 on predictions, but 0-2 on placing bets? And I already see people in the chat going for Teo. For Kambosos. There are some people thinking that Kambosos is going to pull this fight off. Now, before you give your thoughts, I want to share this video with you guys just in case you haven't seen it yet and to kind of spice this fight up that's coming up this weekend. Make sure that you guys are available this weekend to watch this fight, man.
Can DJ mute his mic, please?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
So, I don't know if you guys saw this. We had the little face-off here. I'm going to play it for everybody just to kind of spice this fight up a little bit. And then, of course, I'll give my prediction, and then we'll swing it across the panel. Y'all can drop your predictions about this fight. Let me first I had some music playing in the background here. Let me pause it. All right. Here we go.
These people are your curse. These are your curse. They ain't worth it, bro. They ain't got shit around you. Hey, walk on. That's right, man. Congrats. I know everybody. If anybody is betting for Kambosos to beat me, it's because y'all don't want to see me fight the likes of Tank, Haney, Garcia, Taylor, all these guys. Loma again if you want. Oh yeah, go ahead. Show you.
So he just mentioned Tank, Haney, and he said, "Oh, I'll even do Loma if you want." So to your question there, Chavo, he said Haney. He said it. But then I guess what is he doing? Switching up his words and saying, "Oh, never mind. I'm going to go to 140 after this fight." I don't know, but he just said Haney. So I don't know if y'all caught that, but just wanted to point that out.
I'm going to stay focused on what's at task today. I'm going to stay focused on you. We're the only ones doing it, baby. And I'm not we're going to be scared of you. Get the hell out of here. After this fight, I don't want to have no hand.
Why does Tio's dad have a mic? Why? It's an extreme pet peeve of mine. This father-son shit, and the father's out there hoorahing behind his son, screaming on the damn mic. You ain't fighting.
No, they're not. They tell me, hey, man, it was your we're going to hold for you. The same way we hold for Loma. The same way we hold for Loma. That's serious, though. You ain't going to check your hand because you're going to be in the hospital, bro. I'm going to tell you. Hey, it's you. We're going to put your ass in a fucking stretcher. You're going to stretch to land in yourself. You just fucked up yourself. Sure. I'm telling you, out of that. When you wake up on Sunday, bro, from the hospital, bro, you're going to fucking regret what you just doing right now. You know what? You're going to be fear for your fucking life. When your son gets out, fear for your life. My son is going.
It reminds me of Angel Garcia so much.
Joe, this is a fucking lion right here. A lion. I'm a fucking gorilla. You're a fucking gorilla. I'm coming for all this shit. Last time I checked, isn't Tank a gorilla? What? Right? Tank the fucking lion. They're all about Tank. Yeah. Fuck out of here, man. A lion would always take a gorilla, you idiot. A lion would take a gorilla, you idiot. Squash you. Just like my father squashed you yesterday, boy. Okay, yeah. Right. Where's the video at? I actually fucking where's the video at? Until they stop me. Where's the video at? You haven't seen the video? Where's the video at? Oh, look. What, you beat the shit out of me by grabbing me in my fucking shirt? You idiot, I did the same shit to him. I did the same shit to him. He got nothing.
He didn't beat me up. He grabbed me by my shirt. He didn't beat me up. See, that's what you get, man. When you got, it's like you go to a barbecue and you got some uncles out there bullshitting around talking about, remember this one time when I beat your ass? Oh, you didn't beat my ass, man. You just pulled on my shirt. This shit cracked me up, man. And it's like I like to see a press conference get hyped. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of that kind of like competitive juices that are flowing, especially only a few days away. But sometimes it's just comical. It's just pure comedy, especially when you got his dad up here. I mean, look how I paused the video. I got the little still shot here. Throwing his hands around, got the mic, trying to take over the press conference. No different than what Angel used to do with Danny. And I never seen anybody disrespect people like Angel Garcia disrespect people. The way he disrespected Keith Thurman, the way he disrespected Zab Judah. And this guy is another example. But anyways, this was the little press conference that they had. And I think it's just
I say like this though, we so delusional, we made it to the pound for pound list. We so delusional, I'm the only one holding this fucking belt. We so delusional that I own this king shit, alright?
When you got, don't even waste your fucking
I haven't moved.
They're not worth it, bro.
Having fun in the wealth.
They're not worth it, bro. Let it go.
Everybody is worth it because they trying to take what we earned. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we're here.
Of course, we can do this.
So there you have it. I just wanted to spice it up a little bit, and but bit entertainment, man. Bit of entertainment. So look, it's a fight that needs to be made. To be honest with you, I don't have any problem with this fight. I think Kambosos is a quality challenge, quality opponent. And I do believe that he's coming to fight. And I believe that he's going to do his very best. And that's all that you can ask for from a challenger coming in to try to take the belts. Will it be enough, though? And referring back to my question earlier before I played that video, is he a guy that you want to bet money on? Does he have the capability of pulling the upset? I guess that's really the question. I've seen most of Teo's big fights. I know what he brings to the table. I believe I've seen maybe 2, maybe 3 of Kambosos' fights. And he's got some skill. He's got some grit. But does he have the same type of pedigree that Teo has? As annoying as his dad is, and sometimes as annoying as Teofimo Lopez himself is, I think he does have skill. He's in the position that he's in for a reason. Nobody gave him a chance to beat Lomachenko. We know what happened in that fight. And, I think in this fight, as in my head, as I'm playing it out, off the top of my dome here, I think it's going to be scrappy for a while. But I think one of the biggest differences, of course, is going to be that sneaky kind of quick explosiveness that Teo has, that I don't think Kambosos has seen yet at this level. And his chin will be tested. His chin will be tested for sure in this fight, especially as we get into the middle rounds. If he's able to eat it, then he proves everyone wrong. And what I'm curious to see is that he's used to hurting people. He's used to throwing these big shots, and they get wobbled, hurt, knocked down. They go backwards, whatever it may be, but they show some type of sign of an effect, right? If Kambosos is able to take it, I'm very curious to see how Teo reacts to that. Will he continue to put his foot on the gas, or he'll say, "Oh shit, I can't hurt this guy. I don't know what to do." Will he change into a different fighter? Now, referring back to the Lomachenko fight just real quickly, Lomachenko started really slow in that fight. And it was going, at the pace of what Teo likes. And it wasn't until maybe the 6th, 7th, 8th round where Lomo started making changes. And I feel like he won the later part of that fight, but it was a little bit too much too late. And or too little too late, if however you want to phrase it or frame it. But Teo, in my opinion, can be beaten. He can be beat if you can withstand the storm. Teo can be beat, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Do I think that Kambosos will pull it off? Prediction-wise, I think that Teo is going to get the job done. How he's going to do it, I'm thinking late round stoppage. But I think that Kambosos is going to get the respect that he deserves. And now I have to make the decision on whether I'm going to put a little bit of money on Kambosos to put the upset. I usually make that decision literally hours before sometimes because I want to see the weigh-in. I don't like placing bets, and I haven't seen the weigh-in yet. I don't know what the bodies look like. I like to see everything first. So that's that. And so I'll swing it across the panel. Let me know what you guys think about this fight, obviously, and also the case in point with Teo. If he wins this fight, there seems to be a lot of confusing speculation of, he's going to stay and fight Haney, which is another fight that a lot of people want to see, right? We all saw these two guys clash, right? We remember that 3 or 4 weeks ago, talking a lot of shit. If that fight isn't made, that's a bit unfortunate, especially if Devin wins the following week, which he should. So that's in play here. But first, give me your prediction and then any extra thoughts on Teofimo Lopez on his career path if he actually wins this fight. So we'll start it off with Stormy. If Stormy's there.
Yeah, Divine, you actually broke that down very, very much similar as I would have, because it becomes a thing where Teo, he's talented. There's no doubt about that. His personality leaves a lot more to be desired. But I think that they worked this to perfection, because if the fight would have taken place when it was originally supposed to happen, I think that was Kambosos' window right there. But I think it has closed. And the reason being is that the stalling, the rescheduling, the questioning whether the fight was actually going to take place or not, that may have affected any steam that Kambosos may have had coming in. And off of Teo's victory over Lomachenko, he had a chance to be aggressive and take the fight to Teo in a manner that Lomachenko passed on early in their fight. Now, he did pick it up late in the fight, but I think that was going to be his advantage. You know, it's like they trailed him along just enough to make this just a thing of like, it's routine now. And when the fight happens, he may not have that same spunk that he had when he was originally greenlit to go. I think that what you said about Kambosos being talented and having some ability, yes, that's good. But also whether or not he'll be able to take those single powerful shots that are explosive from Teofimo. And I have a feeling that the fight could end quick, a lot like the Comey fight. Because if you get a guy and he don't get a chance to get warmed up, remember, when a guy gets warmed up, he can take punches better than when he's, coming in
cold.
And Teo is the kind of fighter that could catch you cold. He called Comey like that. That's his advantage. He doesn't have to worry about Kambosos' boxing ability because he got a victory over the best boxer, at their weights or whatever when Lomo had the belts. So I think that Kambosos, he's got to, prove he could take a single solid shot. 2, he can do more of what Lomachenko was able to do in those later rounds at the start of the fight. Take the fight to him, box well, stay safe, and, pick his shots. He might even want to get Teo tired or something before really launching an attack or something. But it's like, I don't know that both guys are smart enough or experienced enough to allow the fight to unfold the way it really needs to unfold. Somebody's going to make a mistake, but I do believe that Teo's got a lot more going for him because of the confidence of having the victory over Lomachenko. Kambosos, nobody was talking about him before Lomo and Teo. Nobody was talking about him. They just knew that he was one of the guys that was in the ranks moving up toward contention, to get a shot at one of those titles. But at the end of the day, I got to roll with Teofimo. And this is not an endorsement of liking him as a person. It's just liking him in the fight because I think he brings a lot more. And Kambosos, like I said, I think they strung him along just long enough. Remember, this fight was supposed to happen in the spring. And they just kept delaying it, kept putting it off and everything.
Yeah.
And he was ready to go then. But now, all these formalities at the press conference and stuff, Look who looks more relaxed at the press conference. Teo. And Kambosos looked like enraged, like is that false anger or whatever, or just frustration that they've strung him along, like I said. But Teo seems to be operating from a place where he's been told, don't worry, kid, you're in a good spot. You understand? So it's like now it's nothing left to do but to
what do you think about his dad, though?
Oh, man, just like Danny Garcia's dad, you couldn't have been more spot on with that. It's like he really needs to take a step back. He really does. The influence of these fathers, as you stated a moment ago, stepping out and stepping in front of their sons that they're training. I mean, man, that stuff is for the birds. But again, his father can't fight for him. His father's not fighting. But he can do damage. He can do damage to Teo's brand and his money if he don't watch his mouth.
Yeah, Chavo says that he thinks that Teo's energy is weird and Kambosos seems calm. I think they both look calm, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they both look calm. I think they're both ready, more than ready. DJ, what do you got?
I think I pick Kambosos, man. He's gonna pull off the upset. That man needs to be humbled. You know what I'm saying? He's very cocky. You want to fight against the other guy got all the belts. You plan on ducking Haney. He needs to be humbled, and I think there's too much distraction. His father, things going in the background. He's not. I just have a funny feeling that he's gonna lose. He's gonna be an upset for the year. I got the underdog.
You got the underdog.
Yeah.
Well, shit. What's your how do you think it's gonna end?
It's not gonna end with a knockout. It's not gonna be a knockout. It's gonna be like a weird decision. It's gonna be like a decision, and it's. I just have a feeling that that guy is not gonna win, man. The other guy gonna win, Kambosos. I think he's really focused, and like I said, my man's father is all over it. It's too much, man. He's talking through the man already, like he want to fight. He's going to Canelo press conference, posing with the belts. He's not focused. This guy's thinking about the future. He's not thinking about the guys in front of him right now. I think he's very distracted.
Yeah, and sometimes in boxing, when you not to cut you off, Stormy, but sometimes in boxing, when you are at the top, right? You got all the belts. You've won a big match against Lomo. You beat a guy that nobody thought you can beat. And it's not because you have an absence of skill, but sometimes when you're a champ like that, you get a lot of different distractions. And DJ's got a decent point here where people are coming to you as the champ. When are you going to fight Haney? When are you going to fight this guy? When are you going to fight that guy? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And it happens sometimes where when you get a guy against Kambosos, you don't think that he's on the level of a Haney. You don't think he's on the level of these other guys that the media wants you to fight. So you overlook a guy like Kambosos. It has happened before, right? And you think that, it might be tough, but at the end of the day, he's not at my level. He's not on these other fighters' levels that they want me to fight. But sometimes when you get a guy like Kambosos, who I think is tough, I don't think this is a guy who's just trying to get a payday. I think this is a guy who's coming to fight and a guy that's going to say, if you're going to knock me out, you got to earn it. And I respect that. But again, like when it comes to predicting fights and you look at the skill set, because that's what you got to do. When you start predicting fights based off of feelings and emotions and the what ifs, you tend to get your predictions wrong.
I know.
You got to predict on skill and skill alone. Now, if I bet, that's different. I might say, I'm going to bet here because I think that some crazy shit might happen. But when it comes to predicting fights where my reputation as a boxing analyst is on the line, by the way, definitely. I'm 5-1 at predicting fights since I came back in July.
That's impressive, man.
Okay. The only one I got wrong was Wilder Fury.
Okay. So, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. I think that referee, the late count twice happened to Wilder. What happened?
Wasn't when the history books are written, unfortunately. Fury wins that fight.
Of course.
So it's just the way it goes. And the Fury fans they'll never let me get away with that anyway. But the fact of the matter is that, all these big fights, although, like Canelo Plant, for example, as much as I want Plant to win, and I'm like, man, I love his story and this and that, and man, I'll even put a little bit of money on it because he might surprise me and everybody. But if I'm going to make a prediction, I made a prediction based off of Canelo's resume, his pedigree, his skill, et cetera, et cetera. That's just the bottom line. Now, I feel like Kambosos, when you get a guy, I think he's from Australia, I believe, right? So you get a guy coming from Australia.
Hey,
So is he like a Costa Zoo type where he comes over to the States and he shocks people and beats the American champion? That's another thing that's in the making, or the possible making, and makes this fight interesting. And if you're a betting person, maybe you bet on that. Maybe you bet on the odds that, it's time for a foreigner to come in and pull the upset. So when it comes to betting, it's much different.
If you win that
Stormy,
belt, you never go.
I heard you wanted to say something.
Go ahead. Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Stormy.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
he's eating that leftover turkey.
No.
Oh.
I was reading something. What's the question?
No, I just heard you were going to interject there earlier, and I didn't know.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, coming behind DJ, what I was going to say is sometimes our want for someone to lose isn't as strong as the person's ability to do it, to make it happen.
I know.
And like you heard me say,
yeah,
T.O.'s personality leaves a lot to be desired, man. Both he and his dad, they're easily not likable, but Divine kind of put his thumb on it. If he can't take T.O.'s shots, and let's be honest, the kid can pop.
Yeah,
but he's not as seasoned as someone like a Lomachenko, which is what's interesting about the fight with Lomo, because Lomo gave away so many of those darn early rounds. But as soon as he turned the heat up to attack T.O., you saw a different fighter. He doesn't fight backing up very well. He doesn't fight under the pressure of being, pressured and attacked aggressively. Now, can Kambosos do that and still stay safe with not getting hit with something, coming in wide open, which sometimes he does those things, flailing shots. You can't let a guy who can really pop like that and punches from weird and odd angles. He studied a lot of Roy Jones, Teofimo, admittedly, and he can catch a guy with a timed shot and hurt him. It's just going to come down to how much Kambosos really wants this, and if he's able to implement any of a game plan that will put Teofimo in a place of discomfort, because that's what it has to come down to. And see,
correct.
That's where Lomo messed up, because he's not as experienced. You can do that to a guy that's not experienced. He'll bluff all night long like he's in a good place if you allow him. But you turn that heat up in the right way, you can see him falter and take his confidence away from him. So again, my thought is if the best chance for Kambosos is to do some things early on, but not recklessly, but then make the fight stall out a little bit and then look to take him. If he wants to try to take him out late in the fight. Don't try to get a first or second round knockout or within the first 4 or 5 rounds. You want to take T.O. late and then attack him and put the heat on him, because that's the way you do it with a inexperienced fighter. And there is pressure on him to hold on to those belts. There's pressure within that itself.
That's even the part.
What I like about this fight too, that somebody's is gonna go. That's always good. You got both of these guys putting their records on the line. For those of you guys don't know, George is 19-0 with 10 knockouts. So not bad. But 19 fights against a lot of guys that no names really pop out at me. He beat Michael Bay and Lee Selby. Those were both split decisions, though. And so that's the point that Stormy's pointing out here is when you've been in there against a guy like against Lomachenko and other higher caliber fighters, it's just like Canelo. It's like Canelo with all the fighters that he's been there in there against, and then Plant hasn't fought against those type of guys. You know what I mean? And it's just hard. And we saw what happened, right, in the fight where Plant had some moments. He was doing well, but then Canelo, he's got that experience. He's been there. He's been in there with Mayweather for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, Plant don't have no power.
He had no power, but he also gassed out.
Yeah, but if Plant had the power of Triple G, you'll be a different outcome. If Plant had the power like Triple G, it would be a different outcome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He never respect him. He was walking. He never respect his power.
Yeah, but I mean, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, it doesn't, just because you don't have power doesn't mean that you can't win a fight. It just means that your engine has to be top notch. It's got to be superb. You got to box and move and hit and not get hit for 12 rounds, period.
Definitely.
And Caleb Plant didn't have that engine. He started gassing out. And so, I mean, I had him winning, 4 to 5 rounds, just based off of the boxing. But, I can start to see that he was getting worn down from the body shots. His engine was starting to deplete. And then you're right. He didn't have the power that, that's one thing that when you look at someone like Deontay, right, he can be losing a fight, but as an opponent, you're always like, I can just get hit with some shit and get knocked out. Right. And so we saw that against Ortiz when he fought Ortiz the second time. Ortiz was winning that fight.
Clearly.
And then Wilder stopped him. But yeah, you're right. Caleb doesn't have that ability. So Canelo sees that. He's like, well, he can't hurt me. And now he's getting tired. So now I'm going to finish him.
There you go.
Now with Kambosos, I think that he's got to show some boxing ability here. He's got to impress me with his boxing ability. I don't think that he's going to stand toe-to-toe and land something lucky. If he does that, I will be completely just gobsmacked.
It's going to be a dirty fight. I think he's going to do a lot of holding and a lot of headbutt going on. He has to fight him like that. He has to hold him. Don't let Teo get off with explosiveness. I think you got to hold him, headbutt. This is going to be a dirty fight. I think it's going to be a dirty fight.
But that takes a lot of ability and knowledge and experience. You get into the clinch like that, know when to clinch, how to clinch. A lot of that is experience. Does he have enough experience to be able to pull that off? And that's it, man. That's what we're tuning in to see. And when I look at Kambosos' resume, not much there. I just don't see anything there that's like the guys that he's beat. Could they beat Teofimo? Absolutely not. Absolutely.
But anyway,
not.
I'm about to be out, man. I gotta go. So
yes, sir. Hey, man, thanks for dropping by, man. Good to have you on the panel.
Peace. No problem, man. See you later. Sorry, B, man. Peace. Okay.
All right, man. Peace to you.
Yeah, so that's what it is, guys. I mean, I'm looking at the fight from as I always do. I know Stormy does the same thing. We can talk about emotions and we can get emotionally invested. There's a lot of people that are just picking Kambosos because they can't stand Teofimo, which that's your prerogative. But I would advise you that if you take pride in your predictions, then you need to look at it through a boxing lens and not through an emotional lens. Because Teofimo, hate him or love him, yeah, he's a threat. He's a legitimate threat. And he can hurt you, and he's spewing out with confidence right now. He's just super, super confident. You can see it, you can feel it. He's very confident. And when you have that type of confidence, then you're tough to beat. You gotta rip that confidence out of their chest. You know, that's one reason why Floyd was who he was, because he was so confident in his skill and he truly believed that nobody can beat me. No matter what they do, they can't beat me. You know what I mean? And there were fighters that tried to, like Maidana, for example, who tried to rip that confidence out of him, but they just couldn't. They just couldn't. So, you know, there's two sides to this. You have a confident fighter and they believe they can't be beaten, and they live it and they prove it every time they step into the ring. A case in point, Floyd Mayweather, right? But if there's the flip side to that is that overconfidence, where you don't focus, you don't take it serious. And what a lot of people don't give Floyd Mayweather credit for is he took every fight very serious. A lot of people are like, oh, he's nonchalant, he's lackadaisical, you know. No, he took his undefeated record, his legacy, his pride, everything very seriously. Him taking a loss would be the worst thing that can ever happen to him. And we saw how tragic it was when he got the bronze medal, when the gold medal was stolen from him. And I think that's what propelled him to who he was. He was on a mission of vengeance his entire professional career. Does Kambosos, is he cut from that type of cloth? Does he have that ability to take it from the confident fighter, a guy who's been very successful from the amateurs into the pros, got all these belts? And so, yeah, you got to be that guy. And I just don't see it. I don't think Stormy sees it. Y'all can let me know in the chat. We have the poll going as well. Currently, Teofimo, 62%. People are voting for Teofimo, 62%. And surprisingly, Kambosos is at 38%. So out of 20 votes, that would mean that about 8 to 9 people think that Kambosos is going to pull the upset. Now, once again, I don't know if that's because you believe in Kambosos' skill, you think he's going to be more determined, or it's more of an emotional investment because you don't like Teofimo Lopez. Now, just to kind of let you guys know, if Teofimo loses this fight, you already know that there's going to be a rematch. So it doesn't make him any closer to fighting Devin Haney, which is the fight that we all want to see. So just have that little reminder. If Kambosos pulls off the upset, you best believe that Teofimo is going to rematch Kambosos immediately to try to reclaim those belts. In the meantime, Devin Haney is fighting the following week. If he wins, Devin Haney's now in the position to say, well, you just lost. So am I going to wait for you to rematch Kambosos, or am I going to go on and do other things? So keep that in mind when we're talking about this fight. Of course, if Teofimo wins, Devin Haney wins the week after, then we can really have a true discussion about that fight being made. So, yeah, any watcher says, no hope Kambosos. So I hope it's a good fight, man. Anytime I tune into a fight, no matter where I predict, no matter what I bet, or whatever the case may be, I want to see a good fight. And the last thing that we want in any fight like this, or any fight period, is some type of shenanigans with the ref or the judges or whatever it is. Just make it a good fight. Keep me on the edge of the seat. Make me fall in love with boxing once again. Every time I watch a fight, I want to, fall back in love with boxing. And when I see fights like, the Michael Fox fight and the Casano fight and the fight with Charlo and what's his face, who got robbed, in my opinion. When I see those types of fights, it makes me not love boxing as much. So lately, we've had some good boxing matches, and I hope we keep that trend going forward to end this year strongly. Stormy, any final thoughts about this weekend? And also, are you going to do a post-fight thought video or live stream after the fight? And let the people know, if they don't know who you are, where to find you.
Yeah, I will be doing post-fight, after the post-fight live, after the fights have wrapped up. there's some other fights that are taking place as well, and I'll try to cover a little bit of everything in the post fight, unless something really happens with one of the cards that will take the focus for the night. But everybody can find me right here on YouTube. My channel is Stormy B Man, and again, like I usually do a stream on Thursday evenings, but tonight I was just enjoying the holiday and trying to upload things into my files into my new laptop, because I bought a laptop just to dedicate to my channel. So
Nice.
yeah,
All those super chats and the donations and all the love is now coming into play. And
yeah, absolutely. And it's all about, with me, I'm trying to bring quality over quantity. So
definitely.
it's like I could have put a few more videos out this week, but I felt that the focus needed to be, specifically along this and doing these things while I can. And I'm not the most computer savvy guy, so I'm doing everything off of memory. Thank God that my previous laptop, which I'm on right now, has the same. It's the same. It's a HP,
Mhm.
And also, I wanted to say this too. The thing about it is, the newer one, of course, can do so many other things that you and I have discussed, like behind the scenes. But like, just like something as simple as me telling you earlier in the show, I took my camera off because it was lagging. I won't have to
Mhm.
deal with that lagging on the new laptop,
Nice.
So everything will be fresh, pictures in high def and video in high def, all of that stuff. So I'm looking forward. And you guys will know when it's on, because when you see it on the screen, it'll be like, oh, that's popping, it's crystal clear or whatever. So I'm excited
Mhm.
to get it going. It's just gonna take me a little time to get my files uploaded and everything. But thanks for having me on this evening. And I didn't want to come on and try to take over your show or anything. I just wanted to
No
talk
problem.
boxing with you on here. And I
Yep.
think I was able to do that.
It's Firestorm, man. That's what we do out here.
Yeah.
Is bring people on and have a discussion. So yeah, key points today was talk about the welterweight division. We did that, and then talk about the fight coming up this Saturday, and then I think we did that as well. So make sure that you guys catch me. I'm gonna try to go live during the fight. It seems that people enjoy it. They like to tune in and listen to my commentary. I'll try. But if I can't, then I'll be on here giving my post-fight thoughts, of course, as always. November has been a very, very tough month for me as far as finding time to make content. Hopefully, December might be a little bit better, but, holiday season, it's always tough. A lot of stuff going on. But I try to come in here, guys, at least once a week at the minimum, to chop it up with you guys. And I appreciate all the love, support, of course, the super chats today. Every like matters, as I always say. Make sure that you hit that like button before you head up out of here. We should have 40 likes by the time it's all said and done. And once again, happy Thanksgiving. And remember, as I was saying earlier, the most important thing about Thanksgiving, although the food is amazing, it is about family. So before you guys close it down tonight and get on with your weekend coming up here, Friday and into the weekend, and watch these big fights coming up, make sure that you hug and kiss your loved ones. Be thankful for what you have and all that good stuff. I appreciate everyone, of course, as I just mentioned. And in the future, I'm still editing videos of my sparring footage. I'm looking forward to putting that out there. I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. Sparring is a big ass video, so I got to cut and slice it and edit it and make it look nice for you guys. So that's something for you guys to look forward to as
And
well.
don't slice and edit it where only you are landing shots.
Right. I'm getting punched in the face. I know y'all want to see me get punched in the face, right? Yeah. Nah, man, I will do by round. I won't cut the rounds out. But we rotate partners, and it's over an hour long, so I don't want to put an hour worth of sparring on here. And sometimes, you get guys who haven't had much experience with sparring, so it's really, really light and it's not as entertaining compared to other guys that we mix it up. So, but yeah, that's something that'll be entertaining, I'm sure, for you guys. And Rojai, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I got some good jabs. Yeah, I got a decent left hand. Thanks for all of the times of having my right hand tied behind my back and using my left hand constantly. So, yeah, man, I appreciate your comment, man. So you guys stay up there, man. Stay safe. A lot of crazy stuff happening there from what I see in the States. I watch the news. So y'all keep your head on a swivel, man, and just be as positive as you possibly can, man, and stay strong out there and healthy. Those should be your priorities, man. So I'll catch you guys on the next one, Stormy. If you want to stick around, I'll catch you back behind the scenes. And until the next time, guys, stay up. Peace.
Peace.